All right, this is the copyright disclaimer. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. And this video is not for any monetary gain. It is explicitly for the reasons stipulated in the Copyright Act of 1976 under Section 107.
You understand how dysfunctional, how disruptive the white man, nobody on this planet has been able to live in peace with this fucking motherfucker. Because it's not in their nature. It's in their nature just to try to conquer and lie and kill. And when everything is going good, it just gotta go bad. Everybody chilling. Hey, what are you doing? It just gotta go bad. Mm-hmm. You punk motherfucker.
The darkest Thanksgiving in American history wasn't a dinner. It was a massacre the textbooks refused to mention. In 1637, before the friendly feast story was ever invented, the colonial governor of Massachusetts declared a day of Thanksgiving. But the celebration was for something horrifying. At dawn, English soldiers surrounded a Pequot village during their annual green corn ceremony. While the people slept, the soldiers set the fort on fire. Anyone who ran out was shot. Anyone who stayed inside burned alive. Over 400 men, women, and children were killed in less than an hour. Governor John Winthrop wrote in his journal that this destruction was God's divine blessing, and afterwards ordered colonists to give thanks that the enemy had been wiped out. This event became one of the earliest official Thanksgivings, not a feast of peace, but a celebration of annihilation. Yet the public version of Thanksgiving wasn't created until centuries later, when the U.S. needed a unifying myth after the Civil War. The massacre? Quietly buried. So when a holiday's origin can be rewritten from a slaughter into a celebration, how much of the history we celebrate today is the truth? And how much is just the version someone needed to sell?
If you want to talk about how Thanksgiving came about.
I do want to talk about it. First of all, you got to remember, my dear brother, that history, his story. It's not our story. When they proclaimed Thanksgiving, it was in Mystic, Connecticut, a tribe of Indian people, the Pequots, that were thriving and surviving. But shortly after, we taught these white people how to farm and how to take care of the land and raise food. They got beside themselves. A few years after they started prospering, they decided that they were going to take their women and their children out to a big field and have a cookout celebration. No Indians brought deer. There was never a Thanksgiving dinner with them, according to what they say. Not true. The celebration of Thanksgiving was the men walked off from their families and went further north into Mystic, Connecticut, and he murdered these Pequot Indian children, elders, women, and men. Got them in the enclosure of their habitat. They had built forts, per se, but that was only for the protection of their people. And they trapped them in where they couldn't get out, and they set it on fire, and they burned them to death. Then they came back. They were so thankful that they had killed these Indians, but that was the first Thanksgiving. Not what you read about it their books.
It wasn't until when President Lincoln decided, instead of having it every other day when they were going to different tribes killing them, that he decided to make it once a year, a day of Thanksgiving once a year.
True. But let me tell you about President Lincoln. Because Indians, the Dakota, and Nakota Indians wouldn't give up. These are the people from Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota, up in that area. They were fighting, and they captured in excess of 200 of them. And they wanted to hang them all. But Lincoln intervened, and he said, no, I don't want you to hang them all. Pick 38 of them. And that's how they came up with the Mankato 38. That was the largest mass hanging ever in this country.
If you want to talk about how Thanksgiving came up.
All right, Shalom. We're the Hebrew Israelites from the Indianapolis branch of the Great Millstone. We're here to give all praises, glory, and honor to
Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakakwadash.
Double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well in teaching us this 100% truth. Salutations to them and our fellow Akim who labor in this truth week in and week out on the highways and byways. Also salutations to the hopeful elect of the scattered 12 tribes of Israel, scattered to the four corners of the earth, that be like it to the speckled bird, also known as your Israelite foreigners and your so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. To you, we say Shalom.
Shalom.
All right, we're going to get into it. We have an article today. We got this wicked holiday coming up on this Thursday. We call it ThanksKilling. You know, everybody else calls it Thanksgiving, but ThanksKilling because that's exactly what they did. Massacred a lot of the natives. Talking about the first Thanksgiving here. The story comes from Forbes.com. All right, you see it on the screen. We will put a link to this article in the description box of the video when it's done. But this article is part of our camp series called For Thy Violence Against Thy Brother Jacob. Okay, where we go into the rich history of the hell and atrocities that Esau Edom, who is a so-called white man and the wicked, according to Malachi 1 and 4, has put on the Israelites, you know, on this soil, American soil. All right, and he does it abroad as well too, but our focus is here in Babylon the Great, since this is where the main judgment is going to take place. All right, so once again, it's called For Thy Violence Against Thy Brother Jacob. We'll put a description, the link to this article in the description box, and let's go ahead and go with the open scripture.
Obadiah verse 10. For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever.
Yeah, but ultimately, that's the judgment that the Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, has declared, all right, to be brought upon Esau, even so-called white man. All right, for ultimately all the violence and all the evil that he has exacted upon the Lord's chosen people, the Israelites, which are the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. All right, this is the judgment that the Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, has declared. You see? And that's why, as we speak, man, America is going through all kinds of turmoil, right, in hell. Can somebody get a Baruch 4 where it says, miserable are the cities which thy children serve?
Okay.
You see, because the Lord right now, as we speak, is recompensing this land for all the blood of his people that is shed, man.
This is the book of Baruch, chapter 4. Begin in verse 31. It says, miserable are they that afflicted thee, and rejoice at thy fall.
Yep, it says, miserable are they that afflicted thee, and rejoice at thy fall. All right, when we read 2nd Ezra, the 8th chapter, says, what many great miseries in the last time shall happen to them that dwell on the earth, because they have walked in great pride. You see, in Esau, Edom, so-called white man, he's the most proud. Right, he's boasting in the fact that he has the Lord's chosen people in his hands. Right, and he's boasting in the fact that the earth is in his hands, man. You see, so that's why the Lord, everything the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai is doing, these judgments that's going out in the planet Earth, man, this is all humbling Esau, Edom, the so-called white man.
Yeah. You want the rest of it? Verse 32, Baruch chapter 4, verse 32, it says, miserable are the cities which thy children serve.
Miserable are the cities which thy children serve. So that's why, you know, when the natural disasters pop up, right, cities go through tornadoes, flooding, right, all manners of hell here in America. Hey, that's the Lord judging this place for ultimately what they've done to his chosen people, man.
It says, miserable, still in Baruch 4:32, miserable is she that received thy sons. Okay. Verse 33, for as she rejoiced at thy ruin and was glad of thy fall, so shall she be grieved for her own desolation.
Yeah, that's why the scriptures say, the Lord, he's going to place all these curses upon our enemies. Right? Because ultimately, when we went into captivity under our enemies, we became a mockery unto the nations. Right? You can read that in Lamentations 2nd chapter. We become a proverb, a byword, right? A mockery. And guess what? That's a direct curse placed on us by Yahweh by Shemi Shai for our wickedness. Right? But we in that time where the Lord Yahweh by Shemi Shai is executing the shift of power on the planet Earth, and the things that fell on us, the evil that fell on us, is being translated to our enemies, man. See, so just like they rejoice at our fall, and when Esau falls, we gonna rejoice at their fall, man. You know.
Verse 33, it says, for as she rejoiced at thy ruin and was glad of thy fall, so shall she be grieved for her own desolation.
So, hey, man, that's that. And the desolation is coming in the form of the nuclear destruction, right, that the Lord Yahweh by Shemi Shai is bringing to Babylon the Great, a.k.a. America, man. That's it.
That's it.
Yeah, pretty tough.
Kind of something real quick. This is Deuteronomy chapter 30 and verse 7. It says, and the Lord Yahweh by Shemi Shai thy power will put all these curses upon thine enemies, on them that hate thee, which persecuted thee. You know, and you know, we are in the times of, you know, the powers transition. You know, the Lord is you know, removing, you know, Esau Edom from off of his power seat, and you know, putting these curses that been on the nation of Israel, or to the nation of Edom, you know, for persecuting us, you know, destroying us, you know, killing us in the streets, man, you know, rape, robbing, pillaging, and murdering. All right, you know, Yahweh Bashim Shai is you know, we're in the time to where Yahweh Bashim Shai is putting these curses upon our top enemy Esau Edom, man. All right.
Precept. It's Obadiah chapter 1, but verse 15. It says, for the day of the Lord is near upon all the heathen. As thou hast done, it shall be done unto thee. Thy reward shall return upon thy own head. So just to back up what the brother is saying, you know, all the things in which you've done, you know, are going to be done upon to you double fold, except for, you know, all the wicked things that you've placed upon the children of Israel. And so, you know, there's going to be the time of meditating terror, you know, and us, you know, of course, ruling the kingdom in righteousness, you know, but then having our, you know, our way with the women, you know, having many concubines, and having you out in the field working, you know, like brother always say, twice as hard, it's twice as long, twice as hard, you know. So,
but in righteousness.
But in righteousness, yes.
Yeah.
Did y'all have anything?
No, I was going to quote Colossians 3 and 25. It says, he that doeth wrong must receive for the wrong which you have done, and there's no respect of person. All right, when it says that, we don't care about you subsequent generations of Esau Edom saying you weren't there and you didn't have anything to do with it, because you did. You are your ancestors, okay? Every spirit comes back every third and fourth generation, all right? And those same spirits are back now, all right? That's why you have this great evil. The devil's coming down with a great wrath. You know, scriptures say there's nothing new under the sun. That's how history repeats itself. It's the same spirits that have come back. So you will be punished for what your forefathers did. You know, the scriptures say, Isaiah 14 and 1, prepare slaughter for his children for the iniquity of their fathers. All right? You will pay for those things. All right?
Let's get into that article.
All right. All right, in the article, like I say, you see it on the screen. We'll put a link to it in the description box. And it says the real history behind Thanksgiving. It says, today, as millions of Americans, and this is an article in the past, like a couple years ago, actually 3 years ago. It says, today, as millions of American families gather together in celebration of Thanksgiving, many remain unaware of the real history behind the holiday. While in school, most children are taught that Thanksgiving represents a feast celebrating Christopher Columbus's discovery of America. More specifically, after an unidentified tribe of native people welcomed pilgrims to America, which was their land, they taught them how to live and care for their land, voluntarily gave up their land, and then all happily gathered for a celebration dinner. After which, yeah, please.
Yeah, I guess.
Okay, go ahead.
Yep. And yep, this is the book of Sirach, chapter 12 and verse 10. You know, because just to land back, you know, on what Barzal had read, you know, the scriptures actually, you know, speaks against what this world has been taught.
Mm-hmm.
You know, talking about Esau came over here to, you know, be peaceful, and you know that's the narrative that this world is that Esau's trying to push.
Mm-hmm.
All right, but really these devils knew that the Northern Kingdom was over here in the Americas, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, all the way from the, you know, so-called Taino Indians, you know, Ephraim,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you know, the so-called North American Indians, you know, Gad,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you know, Issachar, the so-called Mexicans, man.
Mm-hmm.
All right, they Esau knew that the 10 tribes were over here on this side of the land, man. And that's the main reason why they came over here, to what, man? To, you know, rob of their resources, of their land.
Mm-hmm.
You know, put our people in captivity, or in slavery, man.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. Yeah, they showed you in that movie 1492,
Mm-hmm.
which was about Christopher Columbus, and it came out that he used Second Esdras
Mm-hmm.
to find out where the 10 tribes were. The land is called in the scriptures, I believe, Second Esdras chapter 13, verses 39 through 48. It talks about they call it the land of Ashereth. Okay, and then the Jewish encyclopedia tells you Ashereth was called America in the scriptures. Okay, and they knew that we were here because the Lord said, you know, in I believe it was Matthew 10, I have sheep not of this fold. Okay, and then he in Second Esdras 13 he also says that he found another peaceable multitudes, which it describes as the 10 tribes that came over here after Solomon died in you know, the reign of Salmanassar. Okay, so he came over here. All right. There's something else.
I gotta. Well, you keep reading. I'll bring
Okay.
this. I'll bring this up.
Okay.
Yeah.
It says get back to the point. Oh, this thing is jumping. Okay, it said more specifically, after an unidentified tribe of native people welcomed pilgrims to America, which was their land, they taught them how to live and care for their land, voluntarily gave up their land, and then all happily gathered for a celebration dinner.
And that's where Jake fucked up, man.
Yeah.
By letting the enemy in.
Yep.
Yep. Sirach chapter. This is the book of Sirach, chapter 12 and verse 10. It says, "Never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusted, so is his wickedness." Right. It says, "Never trust thine enemy." Who is your enemy? Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. Right. The same man that came over here, that that actually spread disease to our people.
Mm-hmm.
All right. You know, killed all the bison. All right. You know, put Gad on reservations, man. All right.
Mm-hmm.
This is the man what we're talking about, man.
Right.
It says, for like as iron rusted, so is his wickedness. So when iron is exposed to, you know, the moisture in the
oxygen when it's exposed to
when
oxygen.
it's exposed to oxygen, you know, it's gonna automatically start that process of you know, it's starting to be rusted.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
so therefore, you know, Esau, Edom's wickedness is always gonna show forth.
Mm-hmm.
No matter how you know, peaceable he may seem. You know, he always has a you know, he'll shake you with his right hand, but on his left hand, he'll have a knife behind him, getting ready to stab you, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah. If I may add to that point, it says, just as iron is guaranteed to rust, we know it's the oxygen that causes it, and you need oxygen to breathe. So it's, he's going to be wicked, and as long as he's breathing, he's going to be wicked. That's why he has to go. All right.
Yep. This real quick. The book of Psalms, chapter 55, verse 21. It says the words of his mouth were
Hey,
smooth.
read up. You got 55?
Yeah.
Read. Start at 19.
Okay.
Because I actually had scriptures up in there too. Go
This
ahead.
book of Psalms, chapter 55, and verse 19. It said, Yahweh shall hear and afflict them, even he that abideth of old, Selah, because they have no changes, therefore they fear not Yahweh.
Because, of course, the scriptures say, because the sentence of it against the evil work is not executed speedily, therefore the sons of the living power are set in them. Or not the sons of the living power, excuse me.
The heart of the sons of
the
men.
hearts of the sons of men, Salakia. The hearts of the sons of men are fully set in them to do evil. Yet the water. So go ahead, bro.
Yep, verse 20
The
says,
scripture say, whose possessors slay them and hold
Themselves not guilty. Yeah.
See, because Esau, Edom thinks that just because he's been able to, shed the blood of the women chosen people, that the Lord was with him, and that nothing was going to come of that, man. See, but hey, that's why Isaiah 34 says, "What? This is the year of the Lord's redeeming." Roughly paraphrasing, and recompenses for the controversy of Zion. See, so recompense means to what? Pay back. So the Lord is paying Esau, Edom, so-called white man, back for everything that he's done to his people, man.
Go ahead.
yep, verse 20, it says, he hath put forth his hands against such as be at peace with him.
So this is the whole Thanksgiving, or the Northern Kingdom being here, and then you have Columbus and many other, Spanish, the conquistadors, the French, and all these different men who came over to the Americas and had their part in taking this land. Like you read in that, it said that they, it was also believed that they came over and the natives taught them how to work the land and how to follow the buffalo, just different things, and how to heal themselves of the herbs and things like that. And of course they brought things like fire water, got them drunk, pissy drunk, killed the men, and took advantage of the women and children.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep, it says, he hath put forth his hands against such as be at peace with him. He hath broken his covenant.
Yep, there was about 200 plus treaties that they had.
4.
Well, now you said 4.
400.
Well, it's then the plus, okay, but still, treaties that they had with, the native tribes. And when you look up the history, they continued to push them out and push them into small reservations. The Trail of Tears, killing millions of our people. Go ahead.
Yep, verse 21. It says, the words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords. All right, and this is what what we're going into, man. All right, this is how Esau, Edom, the so-called white man moves, man. All right, they make it seem like they're to help you out, man. All right, but at the end of the day, they're looking to destroy you, man. All right. And if brothers don't mind, hey, that scripture, it spoke about how war was in his heart. I got a quick little excerpt from his journal that he was writing on his first encounter with the Native Americans. Yep. It says they brought us parrots and balls of cotton and spears and many other things, which they have exchanged for the glass beads and hawk bells. They willingly traded everything they owned. They were well built with good bodies and handsome features. They do not bear arms and do not know them. For I showed them a sword, they took it by the edge and cut themselves out of ignorance. They have no iron, their spears are made of cane. They would make fine servants. With 50 men, we could subjugate them all and make them do whatever we want. All right, so hey, this goes to show you how Esau Edom is, man. All right, they came over here. All right, like the brother Barra was going into in the article as well. All right, the tribe of Gad. All right, the Native Americans. Guess what? They showed them showed them everything, man. And at the end of the day, Esau was plotting the whole time, man. All right, that goes to show you how foul that nation is, man. All right, but guess what? A soon come. All right, these things are going to be returned unto him, man.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah, he even boasts about it on the back of his dollar bill.
God.
You know, he got, of course, the eagle, that's the symbol. Then in one talent, he's got an olive branch, which means peace. And the other talent, he's got arrows, which means war. But that's what he does. You know, oh yeah, we cool. You know, everything's all right, and he plotting on it.
Precept.
Yes, more.
No,
Okay.
Yeah, this is back in, just to back you up, Barzal, this is
Yeah.
Sirach, back in Sirach chapter 12 verse 11. It says, though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him. And thou shalt be unto him as if thou hadst wiped a looking glass, and thou shalt know that his rust hath not been altogether wiped away. So and that's that's the biggest mistake our people make, is that they them putting their trust in Esau Edom. They believe that Esau, humbling himself and approaching, humbly, since our people are such a peaceful people, they would take Esau Edom's humbling as if it was coming from Esau's true, genuine intentions. But Esau Edom's intentions will always be made clear, man.
Yeah.
You just look through history, man. Just look through all the atrocious things, that information that and accounts that been coming out, for the things that Esau has done to our people, and continuing to do till this day, man.
All right. Do you have more? We'll get back to it. Let's get more into this article.
Okay. It says, after which they disappeared into thin air as if they never existed. Most school history books teach that the native people handed off America to white people so they could create a great nation dedicated to liberty, opportunity, and Christianity for the rest of the world to profit. The story typically taught is about native people conceding to colonialism, and we know that didn't happen. All right. It says most American children are not taught about the savage raping, killing, and pillaging that natives endured during this time. Another criticism of many primary and secondary schools' curricula is that very little is taught in school about the history and culture of the native community in general. In fact, around 87% of state-level standards do not mention native history after 1900. Wow. Let alone teaching students the tremendous impact native people have had on contemporary U.S. society. Due to the severe erasure of native history, Thanksgiving has been whitewashed, and many have been taught an incomplete and in some cases inaccurate understanding of what happened. And that's not in some cases, that's in all cases.
That's where the term critical race theory comes from.
Yep.
Esau hiding his history because ultimately that shame is being seen. He don't want his dirt to come out, but we know that a prophecy says that the wicked shall be revealed. You see, so ultimately, we know that at the end of the day, man, the word of the Lord is what's going to stand true, no matter what. So the scriptures say that the wicked shall be revealed, and ultimately, there's nothing that Esau can do to hide himself, man. See, Jeremiah 49 says that he is not able to hide himself. You see, so you could bury history all you want to, man. The Lord is still going to make sure your shame is seen before all nations, man.
What's that? Somebody grab Psalms 85 and 11, just to your point.
I'm in Psalms, right?
Okay.
Let's look at Psalms chapter 85 and verse 11. It says, truth shall spring out of the earth, and righteousness shall look down from heaven.
God, so yeah, he's being exposed. Okay? That truth is coming, and what is that righteousness? Fulfilling of his word. He said, I shall make Esau bare and uncover all the secret places. Okay? That's what that righteousness goes into, about the truth being coming forth out of the earth. Okay? It's rising up.
Precept.
And embarrassing the hell out of them.
Yeah, it's the book of John, chapter 10, verse 10. It says, "The thief cometh not, but to steal, kill, and destroy." So that's one of the tokens, of who the enemy would be, and who, of course, when you look at Esau, Edom, so-called white man, you look at these Americans in the army, how pretty much everywhere they've gone, they've either taken the land. Actually, the scriptures say it. They oppress a man, even his heritage. They've taken over the land. They've taken over being the people of that particular land. Mainly, the ones that call themselves Ish. Have taken on the heritage of you so-called Black, Hispanics, and Native Indians. Then they've come over to the Americas, and they took over, the land. And then they started calling themselves the $5. They had the $5 Indian. They started claiming to be the natives, so they could actually have their access to the land.
What that process is called a Dawes Roll. I believe that was where they did that. Made that so they can get land. Right,
and the women they would marry the women. Who actually had heritage. Had land as well. The native women, and so they have a way of getting up very high. Coming amongst you and then getting up very high, and they do it through their deceit, craft, and trickery. And then they set these laws, these unrighteous decrees that place them in the best position possible to get rich off of us. And now that we're low. Yep.
I have something back. You mentioned.
Let me finish this real quick.
Oh, okay.
No, that was me. He says, Yahweh Shai says, "I come that they might have life, and that they may have it more abundantly." So we know that anything that's on this side, under this rulership, you notice everything is dying. Everything is decaying. It's leading toward a path of death. Nothing is going to be sustained on this side, right? It says the light, this passes away. First John chapter 2, verse 15 through 17 talks about those who do the will of the Lord will abide forever. So we know that when Yahweh Shai comes, of course, Yahweh is going to set up one that's more profitable, which is Yahweh Shai, and he's going to govern the world where then things will be fruitful and multiply. Starting with the men of the Lord, the 144,000 elect. But that's it. Go ahead, bro.
Okay. Yeah, you mentioned the army, and when we think about it, this is all prophecy too. When Jacob called all of his sons together. This is the book of Genesis, chapter 49, verse 19, and it reads, "Gad, a troop shall overcome him, but he shall overcome at the last." So this particular story is part of that whole series where Gad was constantly being overcome by the U.S. government, the army in particular. All right, it says, "But he shall overcome at the last," and that's the point where we're getting to right now. The brother brought out Deuteronomy 30 and 7. Those curses are going to come off for us and start going to them. So and you can see right now that the government is failing. Look at how disjointed they are right now. And current news right now of all people, what's that lady's name? Marjorie Taylor Greene has defected from Donald Trump, and they were like two peas in a pod.
Some more information is coming out about that too. Real quick, there's something with like a lot of those treaties. There was like a documentary or something that I came across. I may have to post it to y'all, but the guy was going into how with a lot of the treaties they would actually say, have agreements with Esau, so-called white man, to say, all right, well, we'll give you this land and we'll be in this land. And then what they found out was that some parts of the land that the Indians resided on had oil.
Yes.
So then they were like, okay, we need to go and find a way to get the land. And if they didn't just give it up, then they fought and killed for the land. They also, parts of Georgia, and there was some other places, Louisiana, it was just different places where they found, this place is thriving in cotton growth. So then they started to fight and find ways to push them out of that part of the land. And then you look at it, I forget the name of it, but they ended up pushing a lot of them into like Oklahoma
Yeah.
It's like a small little area in Oklahoma that they continuously kept pushing them out until they found an area. Then you had the Reuben. You know, it was like they couldn't really control them very much, so they kind of gave them like the swamp area lands and things like that. Yeah.
I think we watched that documentary. It was like a 4-part series, Extermination of the Roots or something like that. I think that's the one we watched. Yeah, yeah. No, what he talked about that, all those treaties, and they broke every single one of them. Every single one of them. All right, back to the article. It says, the truth is that for the Wampanoag tribe, among other native tribes, the fourth Thursday in November is considered a day of mourning, not a day of celebration. Although the Wampanoags did help the Pilgrims survive, their support was followed by years of slow, unfolding genocide of their people and stealing their land. Man. It says,
Precept.
Go ahead.
Yeah, this is Micah chapter 2, starting verse 1. It says, "Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of the hand." And we know what, that the earth is given to the hand of the wicked. So Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, he has the power to exercise wickedness right in the earth to his heart's content.
Yep.
See? And like it says, when the morning is light, they practice it. So, hey, these devils, man, they can't go to sleep unless they cause them to fall. See, and best believe back then when the natives, when our Gadite brothers, right, first let them in, best believe whole time they was thinking about how to take down Gad, man.
Yep.
The whole time. You know, they came off outwardly as peaceable, humble, right, trying to be on one accord. But the whole time they was thinking about how to overthrow Gad, man. Verse 2, it says, "And they covered fields," going back into what you just mentioned about how they found out their land was rich in oil, right? So they had to find some way, somehow, to get up in there and overtake that land, which we know Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, he does this by the force of the sword. As he goes on to read, "And take them by violence," right? Once again, the force of the sword. "And houses, and take them away, so they oppress a man and his house, even a man and his heritage." And that's what Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, has done. Right? He stole this land, right, from our northern kingdom brothers, man. All right, guess what? He claimed it as his own.
Precept.
You see? Hey, what did he do with us as a nation as a whole, man? He beat up our heritage out of us, right? Told us we was niggers, spics, coons, right? Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, everything but Israelites, man.
Go.
You see? And ultimately, hey, this devil got to pay for that, man. Y'all got it.
Okay. This is Sirach chapter 13, beginning in verse 4, and it reads, "If thou be for his profit, he will use thee, but if thou have nothing, he will forsake thee." Okay, after you showed him how to live off the land, okay, he took it from you, and didn't give you anything. That's what he broke those treaties. He forsook you, all right, but you trusted him. Brother just read in the previous chapter of Sirach, never trust your enemy, all right. Verse 5, it says, "If thou have anything, he will live with thee. Yea, he will make thee bear and will not be sorry for it." That's what he kept doing. He made those treaties for this land and kept slowly but surely, taking more and more and more and pushing them out, like onto those reservations. All right. He says, verse 6, "If he have need of thee, he will deceive thee and smile upon thee and put thee in hope. He will speak thee fair and say, What wantest thou?" And, you can see that today with Esau. You can have a whole conversation with this devil one day, look you dead in your face, see you on the elevator the next day, and act like you don't know who the hell you are. All right, that's what this devil does. All right. Back to the article, just a little bit left. It says, here are 4 vital facts behind the real history of Thanksgiving. Number 1, although there are records of celebration taking place, there is no evidence to support that the Wampanoag tribe was present or invited to the feast. An account said 90 members of the Wampanoag tribe were present, but does not indicate that the members of the tribe were invited. Right? Could have been a sacrifice, you know what I mean? It says, some historians believe that the 90 men were an army sent by a Wampanoag leader, Osamaquin, at the sound of gunshots, which was part of the celebration. Number 2, to be clear, interactions between the Pilgrims and the Wampanoag people were anything but friendly, and the Pilgrims were the aggressors. During their first encounter with the Wampanoag people, the Pilgrims stole from the tribe's winter provisions. Although later, Osomoquan formed an alliance between the groups, the alliance was only established after Wampanoag people were ravaged by disease brought by European colonizers during previous years. This decision was more so a measured attempt at survival than it was to ensure intercultural harmony.
Hey, Roman, you still holding that Sirach 12?
The book of Sirach, chapter 12, verse 10, it says, never trust thine
You
enemy.
can continue where you left off from verse 12.
Okay, Sirach chapter 12 and verse 12. It says, set him not by thee, lest when he hath overthrown thee, he stand up in thy place.
There you go.
And we know, pertaining to the whole nation, we understand that through Esau Edom's violence, his goal is to ultimately retrieve his birthright back, which he willingly gave up and sold. Right? But in this instance, like what we're going into, the history of Thanksgiving, Jake had no reason making alliances with this devil. Right? But we understand that it was a part of prophecy because, like you brought out earlier in Genesis 49, it said what that Gad,
A troop shall
overcome Gad, but he shall overcome the last. You know, so Gad had to fall for prophecy's sake. See, and ultimately, in due time, right, and sooner that we believe, man, the Lord is gonna let Gad get his get back, man.
Yep.
You see, but the scriptures say, "Set him not by thee," because look what happened, man. You know, Jacob was making alliances with the devil, and ultimately, it did not turn out in their favor. All right, Jacob was being murdered, raped, robbed, pillaged. You know, and that's what happens when you trust your enemy.
All right. Fact number 3. Extreme discord continued after the first harvest when deadly conflicts between the colonizers and the native people erupted. After becoming allies, the Europeans went back on their promise and proceeded to seize native land and imprison, enslave, and execute native people. Point number 4. Thanksgiving celebrations that took place among the European settlers often followed brutal victories over native people, like the Pequot massacre of 1636 and the beheading of the Wampanoag leader Metacom in 1676.
And this is why we don't celebrate Thanksgiving. No, it ain't like
Yeah, I got something.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, this is
Despising the feast days.
This is the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2, and verse 12. It says, woe to him that buildeth a town with blood, establisheth a city by iniquity. Once again, when you look at Esau, even the so-called white man in his history, and how he established Babylon the Great, aka America, it was through nothing but by bloodshed, man. You know, rape, robbery, murder, wickedness, evil, the force of the sword. You see, and that's why the Lord is heavily judging this place, man.
Yep.
All right, because Esau Edom, so-called white man, has established it through bloodshed and iniquity.
Yep. Precept.
Real quick, just back up. This Numbers chapter 35 and 33. It says, so ye shall not pollute the land wherein ye are, for blood it defileth the land, and the land cannot be cleansed of the blood that is shed therein, but by the blood of him that shed it.
Yep.
All right.
And ultimately, all the blood that you have shed on this land has yet to be avenged. All right. So we know ultimately the Lord, He's going to execute that in the form of the destruction that He's bringing to Babylon the Great, aka America, which is what, the nuclear destruction.
And he said he's going to avenge that blood by the nation of Israel in Joel chapter 3, verses 19 through 21. All right, that was it. Okay, this is my precept. It says Jeremiah 22 and 13, just to back you up. It says, woe unto him that buildeth his house by unrighteousness, and his chambers by wrong, that useth his neighbor's service without wages, and giveth him not for his work. So that's exactly what this devil did. Now, word woe means death and destruction. So it's coming to you, Esau. As we brought out the precepts earlier. You're going to be repaid for what you've done. All right. Don't seem like it's going to happen right now, but as the scriptures say, the wicked is reserved until the day of destruction. All right. Anything else, anybody?
Yeah, I got something real quick.
Okay.
This is anybody can speak on it. It says this book of Habakkuk, chapter 1, verse 13. He says, "Thou art." Actually, I'll read 1:12. He says, "Art thou not from everlasting, O Yahweh, my power, my holy one, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai?" He says, "We shall not die, O Yahweh." He says, "Thou hast ordained them for judgment, and almighty power, thou hast established them for correction." And of course, that was scripture. Also, he says in the scriptures that he helped forth the affliction, right? Also in Romans, is it 13?
He beareth not the sword.
He beareth not the sword in vain.
Yeah.
And it's for the wicked. This is to come down for the wicked, as it tells us. The spirit's created for vengeance. Esau Edom's coming down with the great, like a flood in these last days. He's going to come down with great wrath, because we know it that he had but a short time, and he is the sword of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. And of course, though the scriptures talk about how the native tribes will come over, or the northern kingdom will come over into the Americas, they were also into all forms of idolatry and witchcraft and things that blood sacrifices and things that they were doing. And the Lord was bringing Esau as that destruction to bring them down. Also for prophecy's sake, it was prophesied that would happen. It says, "Thou art a pure eyes than to behold evil, and canst not look on iniquity. Wherefore lookest thou upon them that deal treacherously." So that which is in is now. Even what we're going through at this time. But the Lord is going to, he tells us in Isaiah 33, I think it's 33 and 1, it says, "Thou dealest treacherously with thee." You can grab it real quick. I'm going to finish this. He says, and holdest thy tongue when the wicked devoureth the man that is more righteous than he." Right? And then even in your seduction, it talks about the righteous is more excellent than his neighbor, but the wicked seduceth him. Right? So in all this, they were being seduced. They came in peaceably amongst the tribes, but war was in their heart. They were drawing swords. They were ready to pounce on them. I think, then you quote that, I don't know if this was the same quote, just bring it back out again if it does, but I know you had quoted something, but it was also said, like, Columbus went back and said, "Hey, you quoted that, yeah." So going back to your point, like, he's like, "Look, man, with just a few men, we can come back and we can take over this place," right? Same spirit, right? That's who I had the thought. I posted a video. I don't know if you brothers seen it, but it was two young Edomite men who actually had the thought. They said that they started for a whole year to create a plan to go to a island, to go to an island, and it actually kill all the men and take all the women and children captive. So it's the same mindset. That's why I said, that same spirit. And then they said the island had the pride of these people, of these men. The island had it has 87,000 people on that particular island, and these two, and what they were going to do is use maybe they should have been our second, but then they said they were going to go to Washington D.C. and they were recruiting all the bums.
Oh my goodness!
As much as it may sound wild, they actually are indicted. Like right now, they're looking to put charges on them. But they were looking to get all the bums so they can get on the boat and actually go to this land and go and to complete this endeavor. So it sounds like,
Better lead them folks along. You see that dude went over there that time and tried to bring Christianity. They saw him from the sky. He's in pieces.
We'll finish. If you had something, we'll finish with this. If nobody else have anything.
Yeah, that was the end of the article too.
Yeah, that's what I was.
This is Isaiah chapter 33 and verse 1. It says, "Woe to thee that spoilest, and thou was not spoiled, and dealest treacherously, and they dealt not treacherously with thee."
So everything that the brothers have brought out today, and then all the other violence against our brother Jacob's, we're at 160,
This is 162, I think.
162, different, and this is just like Amawan brings up all the time. This is just the tip of the iceberg. You know, the bigger portions is at the bottom somewhere. You know, that we've yet to uncover, but the Lord through the Spirit, Yahweh Shem Shai, is bringing out the pieces that which you know are significant, especially in this time right now.
Oh, and speaking of that, in 162, none of them have been duplicates either.
Right.
We're just continually finding stuff, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What was it?
It says, when thou shalt cease to spoil, thou shalt be spoiled.
So so of course we understand that there's this greater enterprise that you're looking to put everyone under this one world government, starting with pushing the Kuragma on the MOTB, you know, the etching within the right hand, the forehead, you know, so your ultimate enterprise is going to be foiled by Yahweh Shem Shai. Read that part again.
Yep, it says, when thou shalt cease to spoil, thou shalt be spoiled.
Yeah, because when you are ready to fill your belly, you know, then the Lord's going to fall suddenly upon you.
Yep.
You know. Go ahead.
It says, and when thou shalt make an end to deal treacherously.
Because now you feel that, you know, the Lord had always been with you, and you say that, hey, this is going to pretty much, like you said in Psalms 49, it says, their houses shall continue forever. You know, but the scriptures say otherwise. It said there will be none of your prosperity.
Yep.
Posterity, you know, neither son nor nephew, father, you know, will be remaining of this house.
Remnant.
Or no remnant of this house, right? Going back to that Obadiah in 18. Go ahead.
It says, and when thou shalt make an end to deal treacherously, they shall deal treacherously with thee.
Yeah, because it said in the one in Proverbs, it was like the hand like of the wicked. Elder Yashawama brings it out again. It deals with the laborers. You know, the laborers, those who, you know, starting with the poor.
Yeah, Job.
Yeah, Job. Starting with the poor of the people, you know, the Lord's going to give the spiritual powers when he returns unto the elect of Yahweh Shem Shai, and the bodies will be changed, and they will be the battle axe and weapons of war eventually to come upon this place. But you know, and Job is going to start within. You see those who are working, the sedition, and all these things that are happening. It's because all the stuff that the confusion and the turmoil and the destruction that you placed upon our people, right? It's gonna happen unto you. Is there any more?
That's just it.
Yeah. Was there anything else? Any last statements? All right. So with that, we hope that this lesson was edifying, uplifting, exhorting to the elect body of true believers. Before we end, we'd like to give all praise, honor, and glory to
Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakakadash.
Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect scattered throughout the four corners of the globe. Until next time, all those listening and learning to you, we say Shalom.
Shalom.